Hey F1 fans, welcome to Who Moved Up and Who Moved Down. This time after 3 races, we had Spain, we had Austria, and we had Silverstone. So was there ever a lot of excitement. There were crashes at the top of the championship and there was rain. Let's see what happened. And let's see it. Oh, nothing changed. However, there were some changes, so let's see what happened. So note the red numbers. We now only have 7 seconds between Ferrari and McLaren. The Ferrari gap has gone down from 40 to only 7. So wow, they're truly dropping while McLaren is on a roll, both drivers finishing high week in and week out, except for one incident, which we'll get into. And then the other significant is Haas is now only 4 points away from RB, who are very much struggling. The gap is down to only 4 from 21. Both drivers were in the points for Haas in Austria, and Nico got 2 P6 finishes in the last 3 races. So I think we can start to call Haas a midfield team. Crazy, right? Red Bull, okay, so the others, Red Bull, still good lead there, 71, but it's still just Max really bringing in the big points, so that's a problem. Mercedes, clearly faster than Ferrari, catching up all the time, and I think they can, you know, if Ferrari falls under McLaren there. So yeah, Mercedes, both drivers are getting their game back. They are feeling great about the car and they're firmly back in contention for race wins. So that's kind of huge. Ferrari really will need to step up. Aston Martin may have found some legs in the last race, or maybe it was just a good track for them, but P7 and P8 is a step up. We'll see if it continues for them. Alpine, both cars in the points in the first race, so maybe that's a good sign. Maybe they're not so much bottom scraping. We'll see. And Sauber, well, unfortunately their woes, and also Williams, just low performance. The woes continue and they remain pointless for Kick Sauber. All right, for the championship, for the drivers, let's see. Okay, our first swap is Charles and Lando. Okay, Charles got a P5, a P16, and a P16. In Austria, so the 2 P16s, Austria, he got sandwiched between Piastri and Perez. Couldn't help it, couldn't do anything, just wham. He had to stop to replace the wing, and that basically ruined the rest of the race. In Silverstone, he pitted to intermediates way too early, something on the tune of 3 laps too early. So yeah, ruined the race from that decision. So poor Charles, I would say bad luck and a bad call. It's tough in the rain though, so I don't really have any blame or anything. Okay, and then Lando. Okay, so P2, DNF, P3. That dramatic collision with Max in Austria while trying again and again to get past him, it got Lando a DNF after he pitted and declared too much damage on the car to continue. So he keeps his P2 in the championship because Charles has been so miserably unlucky, but is not closing the gap to Max. So he's pretty frustrated about that. And in Silverstone, he made it up to P1, passing Max and both Mercedes. And then when the rain cleared late in the race, they put him on soft tires and 1 lap later than his competitors. Oh my God, like even I knew that mediums were the best tire in this race, and Lando had a new set available, which the others did not, with only 12 laps to go. I mean, it was perfect. And it was a slow pit stop. So yeah, he could have won, but instead he came out behind Hamilton, so came out P2 instead of P1, and then the soft tires died, and then Max passed him as well. So we keep saying Lando could have won, but, and it's typically a team strategy call that ends up getting them there. I think both Lando and the team have to kind of relearn the way they approach races and strategy, because they're no longer chasers. So it's a different mentality and it's a shift. They're now contenders for wins. So they need to kind of execute races under that premise, which is, I think, it just is different. It's a different attitude and a different mindset than when you're chasing. It kind of reminds me when Max and Red Bull were chasing Hamilton for the championship. And no matter how quick Max's car was, Mercedes would always just get them on strategy. Like, it really didn't matter if Lewis, started from the pit lane or if he had a bad quali. It just didn't matter. Like, they would just execute this amazing strategy and just maximize everything, and their car would just come in at the top because it was that fast and their strategy was that good and the driver that good. So yeah, now Max is the one with all that. And maybe not the only one for long, and so McLaren needs to kind of step into that role of having that attitude as well. They'll learn though. Lando will learn, and then it'll be on, truly on, because it's already on. Okay, and then next swap is Sergio and Piastri. Sergio drops down one more in the championship, and he is now P6. And Piastri moves up to P5, so that's really cool for him. So yeah, Sergio, P8, P7, P11. He qualified 8, 8, 19. So that kind of talks to the P11 a little bit. But anyway, so for the first race, he carried a 3 grid penalty into it, and ended up finishing behind Nico Hülkenberg in the second race. In Silverstone, he went into gravel during Q1. So then he had to fight back from the back. They made a gamble with tire strategy, but it really didn't work out. So yeah, P11 there for him. I'm really sensing that this time, his time at Red Bull is up, because it's actually risking their championship position now. Red Bull will not win the championship when their close competitors all have 2 drivers scoring high and occasionally winning, whereas they have only Max. So it really, I think they're going to have to make a call there. So feeling bad for Sergio, but too many times, mistakes. Okay, and Mr. Piastri, P7, P2, P4. So he was the other winner from the collision between Lando and Max in Austria, moving up to P2, not quite catching George, who was the big winner from that collision at the end. But he was not quite so lucky at Silverstone. His team left him out in the rain for an extra lap to avoid double stacking with Lando when it was time to switch to wet tires. But it turns out he would have lost a lot less time, like maybe 6.5 seconds, waiting for Lando to clear the pit and his guys to run in with his tires, than the 20 plus seconds that he lost skidding around the track for that extra lap. And I'm actually surprised he only lost that much, because yeah, if you watch a video from his seat, just that lap was just a disaster. That ruined his race from P2, but he still managed to fight back to P4. So overall, Oscar's doing great. Totally deserves to move up to P5. Okay, our next batch of changes, it looks like a lot, but really what it amounts to is RB is struggling and Haas is winning. So yeah, let's take a look. Yuki, one struggling, P19, P14, P10. So he's making a nice progression upwards, but basically both cars really struggling right from Spain after a major new update is underperforming. Plus he got an additional 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so that didn't help that P19. But yeah, after that, he started moving into better form again in the other 2 races. So let's hope they figure their stuff out. Daniel, on the other hand, P15, P9, P13. So Daniel got 2 points where Yuki got 1 point. But hey, the bigger winner here is Nico Hülkenberg, moving up 3 places in the championship. That does not happen too often. And yeah, it's because he got 8 points twice. P11 and then P6, P6. So that's a huge move for him in the championship. Good job. Like, he really makes the best out of that car. Okay, and finally, Lance Stroll, P14, P13, P7. So yeah, maybe Aston's had a good track, or maybe they really are getting better. Both the drivers doing well there on the last race. Okay, our next swaps, we've got Albon and Ocon and Magnussen. So Alex got P18, P15, and P9. So he got 2 points overall. In Spain, he went into gravel, so P18. That was just bad. And then in Austria, he got a 5-second penalty for crossing the pit lane. Although P15, he was probably not going to have points anyway. So yeah, Silverstone is where he got his P9. Esteban Ocon, P10, P12, P16. Not really improving form. You know, just not having good races and occasionally racing with his teammate, Gasly. And Kevin Magnussen, not as great as Hulkenberg, but definitely moves up. He moves up 2 places in the championship. He got a P17, a P8, and a P12. Okay, our next swaps are, we've got Bottas and Sargent. So Bottas, yeah, I mean, he's now in P21 in a driver's championship of 20 drivers. Thanks, Ollie Behrman. But poor Bottas is at the bottom. He has no points still. P16, P16, P15. That car is just not working out, just much like the Williams. Again, it's amazing what Albon is able to accomplish with basically one of the bottom cars on the grid. So Albon is, you know, up there where the others with the horrible cars are down here. So yeah, congrats Albon. Logan Sargent at 20, 19, 11. Almost got his first point, but sadly no. So I think he's also had his time as well. We'll see. People have been saying it a lot. We'll see what happens. All right. And then as for the rest of the drivers, Max, he got a P1, a P5, and a P2. So Austria, he was ahead of Norris by 7 seconds, like just built that gap, was keeping it. But then he had a slow pit stop. One of the wheel nuts got stuck. And this small event started a whole series of events that allowed a hungry for victory Lando to close the gap, chase, fight, and eventually end in a collision. So the collision got Max a 10-second penalty, an extra tire change, and a slide down to P5, which is actually quite incredible because it was just a completely busted tire. I thought he would be out, like that would be it. And then, yeah, well, we know what happened to Lando. In Silverstone, there was rain, and Max, yeah, like Hamilton, he just made the right call when to switch to inters, when to switch to slicks, and which tires to finish with. Done. P2. Really well executed. Okay, Carlos Sainz, P6, P3, P5. So just really well, consistent, keeping his position in the championship. Then we got, Mr. George Russell, P4, P1, winning his second race, and right after that, a DNF. So in Austria, he's the one who took full advantage of Lando and Max colliding for the win. And at Silverstone, he followed that up with a P1 quali, but then had to retire the car due to a water pump issue. So that was really sad for him. And it also wipes out the lead that he had with Hamilton. It's down now to just 1 point, whereas he had a significantly bigger lead, leaving Hamilton a little more work to do there. So yeah, that's George. And then yeah, Hamilton, Sir Hamilton, P3, P4, P1. So Austria, that was the second race where he got P4. He got a 5-second penalty for crossing the pit lane, so that might have hurt a little bit there. But in Silverstone, his home race, it was his first win in 2.5 years, and it was worthy of tears of emotional release at the end of the race. He took advantage, seriously, Every opportunity that the race gave him, that the rain gave, every strategic call, and just executed masterfully. Totally worked for that win and deserved it. All right, Hamilton. Yeah, so all of these guys are contenders for P1. It's crazy. The races are going to get so interesting and intense. All right, and let's just finish quickly with Fernando Alonso. He got P12, P18, and then P8. Austria, the P18, he got a 10-second penalty for hitting Zhou, so that kind of set him back. P8, not bad. Again, maybe it's their track, maybe they legitimately improved in Silverstone. Pierre Gasly did well, right? Where is he? Stays the same. He did well. He got P9, P10, but unfortunately a DNS, a do not start, did not start in in the last race. So yeah, points, and then 0. But he keeps his position, although he is now tied with Ollie Behrman, who is not even racing anymore. That's 6 points. It's just really amazing. Like I keep mentioning, it's just amazing how that 6 points just takes him so far, that he was able to get in that Ferrari. Amazing. And finally, Zhou stays the same, with 0 points still. P13, P17, P18. So yeah, not a good story at all. So that's it. There we have it. A whole bunch of moves. I think it's more exciting this way, and I like actually summarizing several races together. It was actually a more fun project, shall we say, to review the races, the highlights, my notes, and just kind of put together what brought each driver into the move that they made after these few races. So that was fun. I hope you liked it. Please like if you like it, make a comment. I'm very happy to do this every few races only. But yeah, our next race is in 2 weeks in Hungary, followed by Belgium, and then the summer break. So hey, we'll see you after Hungary then. All right. Take care.